These are some of the types that I just explained. Even the recent Scorpio has this written hybrid, so they utilize this regenerative braking plug-in hybrid vehicle. Nissan Leaf and all will come into this fuel cell electric vehicle. Toyota has launched fuel cell electric vehicle in Canada. The problem is that the cost of setting up a fuel cell station is little higher, not little higher, too higher. So it will take some time for countries in Asia to adopt that system. Now, moving forward, now I will start the actual design procedure for an electric vehicle, right? This design procedure, you need to have an idea of this design procedure, because it will consist everything that is required for any vehicle to start the design to the final validation stage, right? After that, you can go for a mass manufacturing, right? So the very start stage where we kind of think that, okay, I need to make, I'm taking an example of an electric bike, right? So let's say that DIY Group has to launch an electric bike in next February Auto Expo, right? So we have close to 3.5 months in our hand, and we start the process of designing this electric vehicle. Now, the very first stage when we go with the design is the aesthetic design, right? Aesthetic design means the overall look, how the vehicle will look, and this aesthetic design is carried out in different stages. So it is not just key aesthetic design we have done and that's all. Aesthetic design itself is a longer process, right? So here in this slide, you see aesthetic design has also different stages, right? So in the aesthetic design, there will be concept sketching, right? You will sketch it using a pencil. You will have certain concept, and that you will put it on your paper, and maybe if you are using a digital sketching sketch, you can use that as well. Quite usually, Autodesk Alias is the software which is used right now, right? So you do the concept sketching in Autodesk Alias, and after that you take a printout of that sketch and you go with the clay modeling, right? Clay modeling is how you physically model that whatever you have sketch. You have made the sketch in 2D plane, right? So now you want to do it in a 3D plane. So you will do a clay modeling. That is more like it's not dimension specific. You can keep the size short. We are not taking care here in clay modeling stage. We do not take care of the dimensions as well as the aspect ratio. Yeah. So then we come to the stage called body in white, where what you are doing is, let's say all of the components, all of the parametric modeling and non-parametric modeling, or the dimensions that you have got, you do a body in white. So assume that you have an electric bike. What you are doing is you are rendering that bike in a whitish format, in such, it may be of any color, but the whole outline of that particular body in a 3D model you can very well see, right? It is generally done maybe in CATIA, or there are other softwares as well which is done for body in white. This is generally very much in demand right now, because this actually shows how your body is going to be in a real scenario, right? So after that, you actually start the real-time manufacturing. So body in white is your design stage, where you are aware that this is how your vehicle is going to look like, right? So after that, you go to the stage called analytical validation. Analytical validation is the analysis stage of your vehicle, where you are doing the analysis of what all forces will act on the body. So moreover, you can feel it like, or assume it like, the computation, the forces which will be acting on the body, you have to mathematically calculate that, right? You will take a pen and paper and you will calculate that, okay, 3G force will be acting on the body when it will hit any object in front of it. Maybe side impact, what will be the forces that will be acting on when the body will encounter its side impact. There will be front impact, there will be rollover analysis. So all these analysis you do analytically, right? Analytical validation is mostly done in a software. You will use MATLAB, right? So you do the analytical validation in that. So once you do the analytical validation, now you have to do the computational validation, because whatever precise software you make, but mathematics will not lie, and there will always be a sort of what you call coherency that you need to produce. Even I have seen engineers working with, I will not name the companies, they do the analytical validation, and once they go to the computational validation, the output parameters do not match, and in that case it becomes very difficult for them to convince their engineering team that whatever computational analysis they have done is valid, is a validated computational analysis. Because unless and until your analytical and computational are not matching, yes, there will be a certain difference in that, because even if you go to computational validation, so softwares like ANSYS, they used to do computational validation. They will calculate how much stress is acting on a body. They will calculate whether this particular bend will break at particular force or not. They will show a red line, they will show a yellow line based on the forces that will be acting on that. So you always have to do similarity or matching with the analytical and computational validation. And once you take that particular vehicle or the body or electric bike or an electric vehicle in the physical form to, let's say, to the test, right? So NCAP, we get NCAP rating for a vehicle, right? So what they do is they do the crash analysis. Whatever crash analysis that you have done in your computer, that is being validated physically, right? So that is also a physical validation. So physical validation, computational validation, and analytical validation are important. And in these three validations, there comes another that is more like DFMEA. We will go through the DFMEA stage as well. How do you calculate RPA number, is priority detection and all that. But these are the stages which we use for aesthetic design. If you don't want to involve much of your time in the aesthetic design, what you can do basically is you do a concept sketching. You render that particular model on Autodesk Alias. Take the parametric design, now specify the dimension of each and every component, and import that particular model in CATIA or SOLIDWORKS, right? After you import that model in SOLIDWORKS, you have the dimensions already. You are knowing the dimensions of each and every component. Once you do that, then you import that model in ANSYS for analysis. That I'm talking on a, let's say, a prototype stage, right? So that you can do. After you do the analysis of the components in ANSYS, you are now good to go. You are now aware that, okay, I can go about manufacturing this vehicle. But believe me, at the SOLIDWORKS stage, you have to specify which all materials you will be using for making those models, right? So maybe you will have an option that you can use chromoly, you can use AISI 4130. There are so many materials that you can use. Every material has got certain properties associated with it, right? So you cannot choose any material. You have to calculate the bending strength of material. That is very important when you choose material for maybe, because the very first thing that you have to choose is for the chassis, right? So bending strength of that chassis has to be very high, right? In certain cases, what happens, the material that you are using for making those components, maybe that material is not readily available in India, or the cost is very high. The cost of that material is very high. In that case, you have to go with other substitute, right? So it's generally, you can say, when we are going to choose, we have 3-4 materials, we will have to compromise on the different properties, maybe cost, maybe availability, or maybe the strength parameter, right? In that case, choosing the material, those who are mechanical engineers, I think they know this term, strain curve, right? So this is also very basic thing when you go about choosing some materials. And believe me, this strain curve is, I think, something that you need to understand properly. And how, when you go about elongating that material, there will be a breaking point, there will be a elastic point. We'll take a pause for some time. I will show you something. This is what a strain curve is. Hope my screen is visible to everyone. Right? So this is the elastic region. This is the plastic region. Once you elongate a material to a certain extent, if it is getting back to its original position, it will be in the elastic region. Once you stretch that material, after a certain point, it will not come back to its original position. Then it will go to a plastic region, right? So these all things you need to understand. There will be a proportional limit, there will be an elastic limit, there will be yield point, breaking stress, fracture point. These are something that is basic.